appreciate you getting on with me, Pete.
Sure.
And could you just tell us a little bit about your background, who you are and
Yeah, absolutely.
what?
Well, I'm a Peter Papa George. I'm a sales manager for, 25 plus years in the audiovisual world. I've been fortunate enough to work for just a couple key manufacturers in managing North and South America. I travel quite a bit and very busy. So ultimately, I've always had a challenge managing any of my retirement and capabilities, and always trying to find how should I say the best vehicles and being distributed, but more importantly, going forward and coming close to retirement in less than 10 years, really trying to figure out the best path, especially through the turmoil that everybody's seeing nowadays.
Yeah, it's
But
a little different this year, isn't it?
yeah, 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 absolutely. So, but that's just a general overview.
What caused you to reach out to me in the beginning? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I think what was interesting a few years back was one of your seminars that was about, it started with estate planning. And I met one of your associates through that, and it was really about getting our act together and trusts and, all the different things for the family, where to put things, how to put them there. And then it quickly got into the discussion about taxes. I
Right.
think everybody, especially living in Illinois, boy, one of the best states to really get nailed in every way, shape, or form. Just the frustration of seeing the state completely change. I think that's when our conversations continued about not just taxes now, but really taxes later. So that was intriguing, and I think since then really proved to be a very valuable conversation in the beginning.
Yeah, taxes are big,
Oh
biggest,
yeah,
everybody's
absolutely.
biggest expense. So what made you feel like we could help your situation back then?
It was interesting. I had at one time, one money manager, generally speaking, that just kind of rolled for 10 years and really didn't do it. They didn't manage, they weren't active. They just kind of phoned it in, and frankly, was very disappointing, and the returns were terrible. So I said, never again. I want to diversify. But in speaking with you, it was a breath of fresh air, because it wasn't just about the investments as much as it was more about the advice, and the advice and really understanding more about really the keeping of the money, the taxes, as opposed to just investing. I think one of the fun discussions I remember that we had was was being able to not only talk about what happens when you retire, but really looking forward. What do you really believe? And I think you have said it more than once. Is do you think in the future's taxes will go down or go up? And I deal with a lot of international clients and partners, and we're in a great country, but at the same time, it's getting worse and worse. And it's not going down, it's going up. And you know what? That our conversation was what, 2, 3, 4 years ago, maybe. And
Right.
now look, and I think a lot of the strategies that we discussed, we implemented, and now I have to say that was a good call.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So how have things been different since we got together for you?
Really good. I think since then, I've seen a good wide expansion of investments and funds and vehicles, I should say, to really hone in on really the cash flow of retirement. Really going through the due diligence of not only your own personal, lack of a better term, how should I say, personal budgeting of what you think you need, but really where the money goes, and then how it comes out, and then what's taxable and what's not. I think about transitioning a number of IRAs into Roth, taking the hit now, so to speak.
Right, right.
Look at where taxes
Painful,
are.
painful.
Yeah,
Taking
yeah, yeah. But and then looking at all the other vehicles of LRP and different types of annuities, and really kind of saying, you know what, especially through the timeline, I think that I'm not retired yet, and I know I want to, and I know where my goals are. I think that those initial conversations have really gotten it. And so now we have a lot of that in place.
Right.
and especially recently, moving a number of investments over to, the index annuities and things, and then seeing what the market is right this second, you go, well, that was good timing,
That was
so
your timing. You should
yeah.
come to my meetings and give a
Yeah,
timing talk
well, I
because
was gonna say, yeah, I think we nailed that one.
you
So
nail
good time.
you nailed that one. And
Hmm.
you guys are a little unique, not totally, but in the sense that you're an executive, and but you guys also have a business. So,
Hmm.
my two big things are trying to save successful executives and business owners
Hmm.
taxes, at least not paying excess income, capital gains, and estate taxes. And you guys kind of have a foot in both of those camps. And,
Yeah.
right. And so, we walked through my smiling retiree process. I mean, how you remember that 9 steps, and
Hmm.
how are things different now because of that?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, my wife's private business, as she has her own sole proprietary, that's how we have both feet
Right.
in both camps. And I think that was also eye-opening. Again, I think, as you said early on, our first meeting was related to estate planning, which is one service. Then we got into taxes, and then we got into retirement. And then when it came down to my wife's business, it was really eye-opening to look at all of the things that we weren't doing, we weren't taking advantage of, and really understanding what you can do as a business. And again, I think that transformed a lot of her business, especially over the last few years.
Right, right. And now taxes are going up. So certainly, if you remember my 3 tidal waves, I sketched out and
Hmm.
as in a meeting in early in 2016 in New Zealand. I just sketched those 3 things out on a napkin as I was
Hmm.
watching the tidal waves out the back window or the waves hitting the
Hmm.
beach.
Yep.
And those were a theory back then, but it's
Mhm.
pretty obvious now that certainly
Pretty much
rise,
reality. Yeah.
yeah, certainly rising taxes and rising interest rates
Yeah.
hardly no longer a theory, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's unfortunate.
how would you say you're more prepared now to handle those 3 coming tidal waves?
Yeah, I think that the part that gave me and my wife, I think, the best comfort was really analyzing what you're gonna need in retirement, and really then taking action on the vehicles of where you're going to build it up. And I think that it doesn't mean that we don't have other investments that could go up and down and more, flexibility as a variable, but really having some of the foundation set. That is the biggest thing that I think really gave us comfort. That being said, anything can happen,
Sure.
as we all know. But can we count on Social Security? Can we count on these vehicles, the annuities, and then being able also the movie and the books with regard to how annuities really play, and frankly the LIRP. I think that was really interesting. A lot of people that I always talk to about, say, do you know what a LIRP is or LIRP? Do you have any idea?
Right.
99% of the people I talk to have no clue what it is, and I'm going, huh, very
Right.
interesting.
Right.
Let alone how many people pay attention. They never have time. You know me, I'm always busy, and
Right.
we very rarely get a chance to just hang out. But I really enjoy our conversations. I have to say that you're one of the only people that I've ever been able to hang out with and said, you know what? Maybe I always learn something every single time we get together. And I'm like going, and finally I think after about 9 times and you writing on the whiteboard, I'm going, I get it. I finally get it because all of us are so busy with all of our lives and all this stuff, Teams and Zoom, and we really have to rely on all of these financial planners and people. And you go, no, nobody really spends time. And being multifaceted at the same time is invaluable. I mean, from going from one subject to the other, you're going, it's not just about what do most people say? No, you know what? You put the money in and let it invest, and you take it out when your tax rate is lower. Well, right now, that's not looking like that's ever going to happen.
Right.
So
Right.
they're
Right.
going to,
And it's different when you're 25 too. I mean,
yeah,
got
that's
a
true.
got a much lot longer to go.
Yeah.
So
Well, and then also helping my sons, get set up for the concept. They they really know, hey, you maximize this, you do a 401 Roth, pay the taxes now, because if you can get out there tax free, if they don't change it later on when they're retired,
Right.
it's worth paying the tax now. Don't go with the old model.
Yeah, and imagine what they'll have when they retire tax free. I mean,
No, they're going to need,
usually anyway,
who knows?
they
Yeah,
grandfather it. Who
yeah,
you would at least hope that. So
yeah.
just to clarify for anybody listening to this, a LRP is just a tax strategy revolving around certain specially designed life insurance
Hmm.
policies. So not that we want to pour huge amounts of money into life insurance, but it's
Hmm.
another way to get tax-free income.
Well, and think about it this way too. It's a piece of the puzzle.
Just a piece.
And that's part of the foundation that I love is diversification.
Yeah,
That's why, and this. I mean, sometimes there's assets under your control and for others, and you go, well, it's all about how you piece that solution together. And
yeah,
what I liked about the LRP was having not only the aspect of cash flow possibilities, depending on how you do the vehicle,
all right,
and then also with death benefits. And you sit here and go, okay, well, it's kind of a unique solution that's different than a traditional life policy.
all right,
And that's where we set it up, if I recall, to provide a certain amount of cash flow in addition to having that
all right,
on both sides for my wife and myself. So
yeah,
you're right, not all in one bucket, but one of those pieces.
all right. And tax-free cash flow. And then in addition to that,
Mhm.
not that everybody wants this, but long-term care benefits, right?
That's right. That's right.
It's a
And a big part of that discussion, again, another fun conversation we had a couple of years ago, I'm sure, was, managing my uncle and my mom, their assets and seeing how expensive long-term care is
yeah,
and memory care. Boy, it's something that everybody needs to, if you don't have personal experience with that,
right.
you really need to know how much it's going to cost to take care of yourself so you're not a burden on your family.
And those costs are going up probably even faster than taxes and inflation.
Oh, they are. They are. And that's, it's got to come from somewhere. Got to
Right,
come from somewhere. Yeah.
right. Well, and just for the people listening, most of you haven't really heard of the term private family office. Pete, you and I have talked about it, not necessarily so much in that exact term, but
Hmm.
really what I do is I manage money for some pretty wealthy people and through my
Hmm.
private family office. And fortunately, I've been lucky enough to do that over the years, and I could bring those techniques that we use for those people down to people, that don't have that much money. And
Hmm.
so, if anybody listening wants to see if they would qualify to do that, there's a link below. You can get on a half-hour phone call with me, and we can
Yeah.
see if you would qualify to do that. And even if you don't, you can subscribe to this channel,
Hmm.
and get a lot of tax tips. Just if we have this on YouTube or something, there's over 200 weekly tax tips on there that everybody can use. So even if you don't qualify to be in the private family office version,
Hmm. Yeah.
everybody can get on and get some ideas anyway.
Yeah, agreed. I'm a good example of that. I'm not one of your wealthy clients. I'm one of the other. And I think maximizing what assets we have was exactly what we needed in on all areas of the services. So,
Uh,
like I said, you learn something every time you talk to Navy. So it's always a pleasure.
Is there anything you would leave everybody with? I don't know who will be listening to this, people
Yeah,
similar to you, either executives or business owners. That's my two groups that I
yeah.
normally work with. Countless things that you can do to save taxes and right now everybody's calling about their 401ks. I mean, we take over companies' 401ks if they want that.
Right.
The main thing we do, I always call it on taxable family wealth. And then in addition to that, if people want it, we can try and help them prevent catastrophic crashes. Right now, we're getting a lot of calls from, people that say, my 401k is down so much. What could you do? So,
Yeah.
um, any
Yeah. Well,
other?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think that, from my point of view, and experience was, luckily we had these conversations a year to 2 years ago.
Right.
And I think that prepared us for what just happened. I mean, it's like, all right, so everything's down 30%. Well, the money that we parked here, and here for cash flow in 5 to 10 years, that didn't,
Sat
and yeah, you know what? That those funds will not take advantage on the upswing, but that's okay. I didn't need it to. And I think that was
right.
the legitimate thing is having the discussion of things that most people don't talk about, which is the tax side and the cash flow of your retirement and future. So no matter where you're at in your stage of life, there's always something to learn by learning about how the world works and the way they're changing tax laws and everything so fast for
Right.
businesses and individuals. It's nice to know somebody that's on it and that's all they do. So we
Only
appreciate
thing I'm good at.
that. Well,
That's
good. I'm glad.
that's
I'm glad you're good at
it.
something, Navy. That's awesome.
Right.
Everybody should be good at something.
Right,
So that's
right,
good.
right. Well, and you're expert at what you do. Patty's expert at what she does. You can't be expert at everything. And
No, I
and
agree.
I don't try and be. I have a whole team, as you
Mhm.
know. You
Mhm. Yeah,
experience a lot of my different members of my team that I bring in,
right.
just like any private family office. We can bring in experts from all over. So
Yep.
just depends on what you need. Any
There
other
you go.
final thoughts for people, Pete?
No, just hang on. We're in for a ride, so hopefully you can make the right decisions.
Yep, we are on for a ride for
Yeah.
sure. So,
Yeah.
all
All
right.
right.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it, and
My pleasure.
have a great week.
All right, you too. Thanks, Navy.